Are you ready to transform your language classroom into an arena of excitement and learning? Today, we're unveiling 15 game-changing challenges that will not only ignite your students' passion for language, but will turn every lesson into an adventure. Stay tuned to discover how you can make language learning irresistibly engaging. My name is Scott, and you're watching Immediate Immersion Live, where we're all about comprehension-based instruction in the modern language classroom. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back. How's everybody doing this Monday evening? Remember, if you'd like to leave any questions or comments, please go ahead and put them in the comments, either if you're watching it live or in the chat. And if you're watching on the replay, in the comments below. I read all of the comments and I answer them all back. So please let us know what you're thinking. Today, we're talking all about challenges, ways to really, truly engage your students in the language in an immersive way. And so let's go ahead and get started. Oh, I wanted to remind you, if you are watching this on live, type in hashtag live. And if you're watching this on the replay, type in hashtag replay. We may be changing up our days and times in the upcoming weeks. Just trying to find out what works best and where I can get most of you to show up live. Next week, I want to let you know that we won't be live. We will be doing a special Encore presentation. So just to know that, you can still watch. You can still engage. I will still check back with the comments. It's just that we won't be live. It'll be a previously recorded live session. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's start off with interactive language quests. So there's lots of different things we can do here. The first is a city exploration challenge. So you can design a challenge where students explore a city in the target language that you teach through a web-based game, completing language tasks related to locations in the city. So they can use something like Google Maps, and then there's something called Street View. They can search for specific landmarks, specific stores. They can engage through a list of tasks that you have them complete, and the list of tasks will be in the target language. So it could be to go through Google Street View and find, something cafe, and tell us what's in the window in that picture that you see there. Or it could be show us where this monument is on the map. So go there, find it, take a screenshot of it, share that with us. So they can explore the city virtually through Google Maps or Google Earth, and then get on the Street View and actually walk through the streets and explore it through certain tasks that you have them do, as if they were really there in the city. Great fun. Escape room puzzles. I've been talking a lot about this in my videos, but this is another great way that you can engage your students in the target language. So you can create an escape room scenario where students must solve puzzles in the target language to escape. These could be grammar-based riddles, vocabulary matching, or sentence construction challenges. Now, if you're like me and you're not very creative at creating these kind of things, I've got a solution for you. I've never done an actual escape room. I've heard about them, I've read about them, but I'm not good at creating those types of things, those puzzles. But you can go to ChatGPT and type it in there. Please create an escape room puzzle for my class in French, in German, in Spanish, in Mandarin, and then what you want to target. Is it a cultural aspect? Let's say you do Day of the Dead or the French Revolution or Carnival. Or is it based off vocabulary? I want you to focus on this vocabulary or this grammar section. ChatGPT will take what you give it and then come up with an escape room puzzle that you can use for your students. It'll give you all of the instructions. And if you don't like what it gives you, that's the beauty of ChatGPT. Tell it you don't like it or what aspects you don't like it, and then have it redo those aspects. Sometimes I'll ask for something and it doesn't give me what I'm looking for. If I'm looking for something really novice low, it's giving me something more novice mid or novice high. So I'll rephrase it saying, I need this even easier. Please simplify the vocabulary and the sentences and get it to redo what you want it to do. It works really, really well, but it doesn't come out of the gate exactly perfect. You're going to have to tweak it as you go along. But escape room puzzles are a great fun activity that you can use with your students. Next, vocabulary treasure hunts. So you can organize a treasure hunt where students find and solve clues based on vocabulary words. Each clue leads to the next, incorporating both language skills and critical thinking. Now here, I can do this one on my own. I don't need ChatGPT, but again, you could use ChatGPT to help you, or you started with one and you can have it develop it even further for you. So you can have clues that, using vocabulary words where they have to go and find certain things. It could be like a scavenger hunt where they need to go from place to place to place to find what they're looking for. They need to ask for it in the target language, and then the clues are all in the target language. Or it could be a treasure hunt where they have to answer a clue to get, or a question to get to the first location where they go. And then at that location, there's another riddle, puzzle, question that they need to be able to answer to get where they need to go next. And it can continue until they get to the end. These are some really engaging ways to get your students really immersed in the language, get them out of their seats, out of their comfort zone, and out having some real fun in the target language. It's great times. Next, go, where's my list? There it is. There we go. Let's talk about some cultural immersion competitions. So you can start off with some cultural trivia contests. Who doesn't love a good trivia game? You can host a trivia game where questions are based on cultural and historical facts of Spanish-speaking countries, encouraging students to research and learn about different aspects of the culture. So again, you can go and do the research yourself and come up with 20 or 30 questions, put them in the target language, or if they're novice learners, keep them in English because you're really focusing on cultural knowledge here. But for upper levels, I definitely would use the target language. If you don't have the time to research, this is a great thing. What ChatGPT is good at is doing research. So you can tell it what kind of topic, what kind of cultural topic you want to focus on, and ask it to come up with 20 to 30, maybe even 50 trivia type questions that really hone in on that cultural aspect that you can engage. You can do it in a variety of ways. You can have it as a class contest where you can have kids divided up into groups, and each group can compete to answer to see who can answer the most questions. I wouldn't do this one on an individual basis because certain kids are going to monopolize. But if you do it as a group, the group can help each other and have one person speak for the whole group and give out the answers. Or if you do want to work on this individually, you can have it like a race who can finish first. So you give them the questions. They're in the target language for your advanced kids. They're in English or whatever the common language is for your lower kids, and then send them to it. They have to research the information on the internet to find the answers, and the first one, or maybe the first 3 or top 5 who get it done, get prizes. It's another right way to do that activity. Another, and this is for your upper levels, it's not going to really work really great for your lower levels, but you can do your, sorry, I just moved my screen there. Sorry about that. You can do a language cultural debate So you can organize debates on cultural topics or current events in Spanish-speaking, French-speaking, German-speaking, Mandarin, Russian-speaking countries. Students must research their stance and present arguments in the target language. One that I really like to do with my kids is La Tomatina. I do that one in my level 3, and we're talking about the controversy on whether or not it's a waste of food to use these tomatoes in this huge food fight festival that goes on. So that's one that you can have them debate. There's lots of different ones. Find a controversial cultural aspect of your country and use that to form a debate. Have kids research the information, present their cases, and then they can do a debate on that. It's really, really fun. And then you can also interject your own questions to help develop that a little bit more. Another idea with culture is a cultural ambassador challenge. So here you can assign each student a Spanish speaking, French speaking, German speaking, whatever country to represent. They must create a presentation, posters, or some kind of digital content showcasing the unique aspects of their assigned country, focusing on language use and cultural understanding. So here they're going to become an ambassador for that country that speaks the target language that you teach. And they're going to create some type of visual presentation that they can share with the class as an expert of that country. It's a way to get them to research the information, to use the target language. Even novices can do this with really simple sentences, and maybe you can help them with just sentence frames, leaving out key words. Like you could put in, I'm going to do it in English, but you do it in your target language. The capital of this country is blank, and they'll fill that in. The country is located in blank continent. So you can do those kinds of things to help for your novice to help scaffold the activity. But it's another great way that they can share their cultural knowledge and become an expert on at least one country or one aspect. If there aren't that many countries that speak your target language, then maybe you can limit it to cities where you can assign a different city for them to do research on. There's lots of different ways that you can change this up, but it's a great way to bring culture into the classroom. And again, if anybody has any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. And if you're watching on the replay, go ahead and put that down in the comments, and I'll be sure to check back with you. And if you're getting any value out of this, please like and subscribe. That really helps get this out to more teachers so that they can learn as well. Now let's talk about some collaboration challenges where we get peers to collaborate with one another. So here the first is a peer teaching competition. So here you can have students prepare and teach mini lessons on specific language topics to their classmates. This could be a cultural lesson, a grammatical lesson, a vocabulary lesson, a story lesson, a reading lesson, a novel chapter lesson, anything that you want to teach in your classroom. You can have it break down and assign students, or maybe even a group of students, a small group, to teach it to the class. So then the peers can rate each lesson on clarity, engagement, and language accuracy, because we want this to be a challenge so they can really work and get some, they're all trying to do the best that they can. It's not just for a grade. And I probably wouldn't even grade this particular assignment. The grading comes in the form of the challenge, where their peers are assessing them on those aspects, like how clear was the presentation? Was there a lot of engagement or interaction with the other students? And how accurate was the language? And then they can rate them and maybe give prizes, first place, second place, and third place based on that. Another great idea, and I keep moving my camera. Why do I keep doing that? I don't want to do that. Let's move this back. Sorry about that. I keep hitting the wrong buttons, and then everything changes on me. Okay, so let's talk about group video project. Let's try that. Now, Groups can create short films or skits in the target language, and these could be judged on creativity, language use, and adherence to a given theme. So, for example, let's say, I'm sorry I'm using all these Spanish examples, but that's where my area of expertise is in. But if I was going to do a Cinco de Mayo project, I might want one of my groups to actually make a short, like, little documentary or a skit based on the facts of that event, and do something that presents like the Battle of Puebla, how Napoleon was in part in this, and how the French took over Mexico, all of those types of things. They could talk about that. Or it could just be story based. You could give them a few vocabulary words to work with and say, make a short skit, a short play that you record using as much of this vocabulary in the target language as possible. And then after all these videos or live skits, whichever the students prefer to do, have been done, then on a public ballot or a secret ballot, on a Google form, however you want to do it, then they can be judged by their peers, so that the best skit, the best video wins. And again, you're judging them on creativity, how well the language use is, and adherence to a given theme. So whether they fit the theme that you gave and did that well. You can help them through the process. You can guide them through the rating process as they're answering the questions on their ballot. You can be saying, well, what do you think about the language use here? Do you think they were pretty accurate or not? Bring up the discussion. You can have lots of discussion on this, but it's another fun activity to get kids up and moving outside of their seats. Another idea in this area will be language exchange tournaments. So pair up with a Spanish-speaking class. Or a French-speaking or whichever kind of class, whatever language you teach. Look for another, like a sister school that teaches that they speak that language natively, and then you pair up with that, and you can alternate. You can do an English one where they learn some English, and then you can do a language one where your students learn the language. Students would compete in language challenges with their international peers, like writing collaborative stories or conducting interviews, all different kinds of things that can happen there. So that other school could do, writing in English, write some stories in English and be collaborative in that way. Or they can interview your students in English that way. Or they can read to your students and conduct like a little mini reading lesson in English with your students. And then your students can do the same thing in the target language for them. And it's a great way for two cultures to come together. Students are speaking with one another, and they're actually using the real target language in a real way, in a natural way, in real context. Next, let's go on to if my buttons will work. Oh, I know what I did. Sorry there. Let's go. There we go. So now we can talk about technology integrated games. So there's lots of different ways that kids can use games in the classroom. One of them is students can work together in teams to create simple language learning games, focusing on specific grammar points or vocabulary sets. So here they can do it digitally, or they can do it concretely and using paper and pencils and colored pencils and make game boards, but create some type of a game that helps them practice and learn the language that they're learning in class. It could focus on cultural points, grammar points, vocabulary, stories, novel reviews, anything that they want. But it's a really fun way. And when kids are engaged in actually creating the game, they're really immersed in the language and they really learn that topic material really, really well. Another idea are blog off competitions. So here, students create and maintain blogs in the target language with weekly topics. And you can assign these topics, again, based on culture, based on current events, whatever you want to base it on. Activities they did over the weekend, school events, all different types of ideas. And blogs can be judged on language use, creativity, and engagement with readers. So again, your students can then practice reading through these, and then on a secret ballot or a Google form, they can rate each of these blog entries that they read. It's another fun activity and another way that kids can really engage in the language, both on the active, that they're actually creating these blogs, and on the passive, where they're actually reading these blogs. Social media. Oh my gosh, kids love social media. So the way we can integrate that in the classroom is a win-win. So you can assign students to create a social media campaign in the target language, focusing on a particular social issue or a cultural topic. So they can create private social media accounts that just have access in the classroom, so they're not publicly available. And then you can give them, a current event topic or a social issue to research, or a cultural topic. And then they've got to create a social media campaign, maybe a 5-day campaign that highlights or talks about that social issue, current event, or cultural topic. And then again, kids can come together, they can evaluate them based on how many likes and how much comments they got, how much engagement they got with that, how the language accuracy and the creativity that they used. If you don't want to do this digitally, like online, you can have it kind of do offline mode, whether it can be completely analog, where you give them templates on paper that they can actually create, or you can do it where they do it like on a Canva account, which you can get free as a teacher, or on a Google slide, and they can create it that way. So it's offline. It's not publicly available in any way. It's not actually on the social media, but they're creating a social media campaign that looks like an Instagram campaign or a TikTok campaign that's built on Canva, or built on a Google Doc or a Google Slides. Lastly, let's talk about artistic expression. So, language through art. So here students will create artwork that incorporates the target language, like calligraphy, comic strips, or storyboards. Anything that really engages the culture, the language in there, and they're going to design some art. I know the classroom right next door to mine is an ESL classroom, and they did some graffiti art that they did on paper, and they posted those up on the window so everybody could see them. These are great ways to incorporate the language. You can give them key vocabulary or key phrases, maybe rejoinders, and they can create little, graffiti or calligraphy art, word art, or you can have them create comic strips based around that vocabulary or storyboards. So there's lots of different ways that you can do and play with that type of information. Music and Language Festival. Students love music, and you have a lot of musically inclined students. So students can compose if they have that inside of them, or perform songs in the target language, focusing on clear pronunciation and lyrical creativity. So maybe they're on the instrument side of it, and they play the music to the song. And they can pair it with someone who can actually sing the song. Or maybe they're the singer and they want to sing the song karaoke style. That's great. Or if they want to write their own music using the target language, that's another fun activity for them. So there's lots of different ways to incorporate music and language together, which will help the kids get immersed in the culture, immersed in the language, immersed in music. And when you incorporate both sides of the brain, the logical side and the artistical side, they get the knowledge gets really solidified inside the brain. And our last thing I want to talk about today is drama and language performance. So host a drama competition where students perform short plays or scenes in the target language, focusing on certain expressions, vocabulary usage, and cultural relevance. So you can do lots of different things with this. Now, I prefer to do it more spontaneously because I want to really get them up into the proficiency-based activities rather than performance-based. But whatever's more comfortable for you and your students. If you want to have them plan it out, memorize lines, and then perform it for you, that's great. But in my case, I like to give it to them live, and they get a few minutes to prepare, and then they prepare live right there in front of us. But it's a great way for kids to indulge in some culture. Maybe there's a cultural aspect that you want them to do a performance on. Or if you want them to use, these 5 to 10 key vocabulary items. Or focusing on a particular tense, like I need you, let's talk about you delving into the future. So you can make some kind of a future skit. So there's lots of different ways to incorporate these. Now, I've given you lots of different ideas, 15 different ideas about different challenges you can put your students through so that they can immerse themselves in the language while still having fun in the classroom. Let me know in the comments below which one of those is your favorite. Which one do you want to try with your students? Let me know below so we can start that conversation. Also, if this was helpful in any way, please share, like, and subscribe. It allows us to get out to more teachers so they can find the channel, they can learn. Remember, we have videos every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we send out our quick tips, also at 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. So be sure to check those out. And next month in April 7th, I think is the first one. Let me go ahead and put this in the chat here. We are starting our new course. It is called Beyond the Basics. So for those of you who are already well-versed in CI techniques, you can go to mm.us/beyond and register for that webinar. I mean, it's a course. It's 10 classes that will help you take your CI skills to the next level. So go ahead, if you're interested, go to mm.us/beyond and register for that. With that, I'll leave you. Remember, next week we will not be live, but we will have a video up there. It'll be an encore presentation from a previous popular live session we've done. It'll still be on 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, just like normal. I just won't be live. I'm presenting a workshop in Nebraska on Monday, and then I'll be flying back that evening, so I will not be available. So go ahead and be sure to tune in for that. With that, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Have a good one.